All right, next are our budget items. Order 186, 23-24, approving state local EPS funding allocation for public education from kindergarten to grade 12 for Portland Public Schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. Order 187, 23-24, approving non-state funded school construction debt service and for Portland schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. Order 188, 23-24, raising and appropriating additional local funds for Portland schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. Order 189, 23-24, approving total school operating budget for the Portland schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. Order 190, 23-24, appropriating and raising funds for adult education for fiscal year 2025, as required by Maine revised statutes, Title 20A, M.R.S. 8603-A1, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. Order 191, 23-24, to raise and appropriate local funds for food service in the Portland Public Schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair. And Order 192, 23-24, authorizing the disposition of any additional state subsidy received for Portland schools for fiscal year 2025, sponsored by the Finance Committee, Anna Trevorrow, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All these items will be considered as unfinished business at the next meeting. All right, then.
I would just add that we will these are all the budget items for the schools, and so we will be voting on them, or the council will be at the next meeting, as the mayor just said. Tonight is a public hearing, so if anyone has any comments on these orders, you're welcome to come up. If you speak this evening, you will not be allowed to speak at the next meeting, so make sure that you remember that. We'll be keeping track, but both evenings will be a public hearing.
Is anyone wishing to provide public comment on these orders?
Good evening. My name is Laura Rosen, and I live at 59 Edward Street. I'm here to urge you all to support in full the Portland Public Schools FY25 budget as approved by the school board last month. I have a third grader at Rowe and have spent a lot of time over the last few months talking with and listening to fellow PPS families, staff, and administrators about how the district has met all of our needs and how it has fallen short. The superintendent, his team, and the school board have also listened, and in very difficult financial circumstances, developed a budget that supports the diverse needs of our students, staff, and families. And while I am grateful for the budget they approved and for the collaborative, thoughtful, transparent process that they went through to get here, I also want to emphasize that this budget represents the floor of what is needed to meet our obligations to our kids, staff, and community, and to the Portland Promise. Any reduction will represent a step backward. Any reduction will cause much more harm to the district and our kids than it will benefit individual property taxpayers. Education is one of the most important investments we can make as a society. And while property taxes are regressive in nature, they are currently the main instrument we have for this investment. So it's important to note that there are supports in place to help blunt the impact on low and moderate income individuals and families. These include the state homestead exemption and property tax fairness credit, as well as Portland's P-STEP program, which provides even further support for low and moderate income seniors. And while I enthusiastically support the FY25 PPS budget as approved by the school board, I also support expansion of property tax relief measures and the identification of alternative sustainable revenue sources to make the property tax burden more equitable and to make it less central to how we fund education and other critical local services. To that end, I'd also encourage the council to expand the P-STEP program to people of all ages who qualify for the state property tax fairness credit, and to advocate for more diverse revenue sources with the state, including the authorization of a local option tax and expanded local revenue sharing. Thank you all for listening to me, to your other constituents, and to our hardworking school and municipal staff who need our support in order to support our kids, who are the future leaders of our city. I urge you to send the PPS budget to voters as approved by the school board. Thank you.
My name is Maya Lena. I live on Essex Street, and I'm a parent of a second grade student at Rowe Elementary, as well as a rising kindergartner. I also work as a per diem substitute teacher at Rowe. I'm here tonight to advocate for the passage of the proposed budget. I want to highlight that this budget process has been very open and inclusive, and as a parent and staff member, I have felt heard throughout the process. The superintendent and our district board representative, Dr. Opperman, hosted meetings where they sought feedback on the budgeting process and made decisions about the budget based on our school's needs. Rowe is a big school with a very diverse population with regard to culture, language, socioeconomics, and learning needs. We've been so fortunate to have our wonderful and extremely capable principal, Bill Antone, and assistant principal, Melissa Richard, join us this year. Unfortunately, these highly trained leaders are not able to do the jobs they were hired to do because they are pulled in so many directions each and every day, filling roles beyond the scope of their job descriptions because our school is lacking critical supports. I want to highlight some of the important pieces of the budget that will greatly improve the day-to-day functioning of Rowe and allow the principal and assistant principal to do the jobs they were hired to do, such as observing teachers, managing school operations, and supporting staff. The hiring of a special education director will mean that there will be an administrator whose job it is to support the many staff who work in special education. They will be able to attend all IEP meetings and ensure that all students with IEPs are provided the services they legally qualify for and be there to support all of the special education staff, including those of the BREATHE program, the in-house behavioral support program at Rowe. A culture and community coach will help set the tone of the school, respond to crises, and be available to staff and students who are in need of acute behavioral intervention. The commitment to 5 specialist teachers per elementary school means that students will have more time outside of their individual classrooms exploring other subjects beyond literacy and math, which contribute to their intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth and well-being. It also means that classroom teachers will have more common planning time with their grade level colleagues. These are just a few examples of how this budget will improve our schools, and I ask that you approve and fund the full budget as proposed. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, go ahead. I'll get you next, okay? Ma'am, just so you know, I'm going to go to the balcony after this gentleman, so I just don't want you to stand, but you'll be recognized.
I'm saying pass along. I'll give you this one when I'm done. Stephen Sharp of Brackett Street in Portland. I only made 12 copies and realized there are 12 of you up there. I meant to make 13 or 14. I am speaking tonight about the school budget as opposed to next meeting because there's some glaring errors in these things in the budget. And this mic is not pointing in the right direction. The full school budget document is not even included in the agenda package and needs to be included. I should not have had to go to 3 different places looking for the actual school budget. It and the other backup material needs to be added for the next packet. Reading the orders in front of you would have been very confusing to the public. First of all, the orders themselves that you read don't list any budget numbers. They just say that you're approving various pieces of the budget. There's no actual dollar amounts in the orders, that titles. Order 186 refers to a total of $154 million and with a tax levy of $119 million. Then Order 189 refers to a total of $145 million with a tax levy of $117 million. So which is it? I know which it is, but I'm saying somebody reading this would have to say which is it. The difference is accounted for in $2 million in adult ed tax burden allocation that is at the bottom of the actual budget document and not in the, you have to read in multiple places. The next section that I show you, I'm not going to read it all, is essentially what should be in the agenda package telling people what the school budget is. It is the total of what the voter authorized version is, what the school budget version is, and what the, including grants, what the $161 million they've been advertising that is the school budget. So there were really 3 different numbers in a school budget, in this school budget of cost. That school budget includes a $10 million property tax increase. $10 million. Last time I spoke to you, I referenced, or maybe the Finance Committee, I referenced the $9 million. I had the number wrong because the numbers are so disjumbled, it's very hard to keep track of which one is the correct number. In terms of two orders specifically, the one for food service appropriation.
30-second warning.
How can you even consider that to be an order with no dollar amount associated with it? It specifically says $0 will be allocated. You are appropriating money here. You are appropriating $5.5 million to food service. That dollar amount needs to be in that order. And I don't know how that got past all sorts of people without realizing that a $0 amount just makes absolutely no sense for an order. That food service budget, by the way, is going up by $1.2 million, which is 30% of its budget. And in that food service budget is the hiring of a chef. Do we really need a chef in the Portland School Department? I don't think so. It's one of those things we really don't need, especially in a year like this year. Lastly, Order 192 should be voted down by this council. You have no reason to be authorizing the school board to be allowing it to spend its money, unappropriated money that it might get from the state of Maine or elsewhere. The idea that you'll just blithely allow the school board to spend any money that it gets outside this process just makes no sense, and so you should be voting down Order 192.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Audrey Cabral, and I'm the music coordinator for the Portland Public Schools Department. I teach at 6 schools in Portland. I'm a band director, and you don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you started on an instrument or sang in your schools when you were growing up? I'm here to discuss a few things specifically for the arts program, but more specifically for music. In my tenure in Portland schools, we've lost 8 music teachers. We used to have a number of music teachers. There's itinerant teachers, and we each traveled to a minimum of 6 schools to serve students for orchestra and for band. Presently at each high school, there's 3 visual art teachers and there's 1 music teacher at each high school, and the music teachers are turning away students who, because there's so many students who want to play and start on guitar and piano and start instruments, and we just don't have the personnel to do that. And it's hard to serve 6 schools and start students with something that there could be their lifelong endeavor. It could be their lifelong skill that they do. After I leave here, I'm actually going to play in the King Middle School talent show. So not only do I teach band, but I also still am an active musician, and I'm obviously very passionate about what I do. I'm here to also talk about students' lack of access to musical instruments. We do not have enough instruments in the Portland Public Schools to give all students who would like to start a musical instrument access to do so. And I'm here to actually advocate that there can be some money that students could get instruments. We could get instruments in all the students' hands. We don't have enough teachers to coordinate, enough time in the schools to do it, but we have enough students that we are turning away who would like to start to play an instrument. And I'm asking that if you could find the means to procure instruments for these students, and maybe you yourselves have instruments that maybe you want to play someday, or maybe that you don't and you'd like to donate to the schools. But I would love to see Portland, the city of Portland, be the city that I know it has potential to be. We have a wonderful symphony orchestra here. There's a lot of music being played all around the district, all around the city, and we unfortunately underserve our Portland Public School servants, our students in music. So thank you, and I do hope that you pass the school budget.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christina Knight, and I live on Munjoy Hill on O'Brien Street, and I have a second grader at the East End Community School. And as one who has been taking part and watching and attending meetings as this process has gone on, I've been incredibly impressed with the hard and thoughtful and transparent work that's gone on with our new superintendent, with staff, with the community, with the board. So I just want to commend them for the work that they have done. And I look forward to having you all approve the budget as it stands, because ultimately we really need to improve education in Portland by investing also in our people. Educators here are struggling and they need our help. The demands on our teachers and our staff have just been increasing exponentially, and the Portland students need our help. And it needs to be the priority to make Portland schools a wonderful place to learn, teach, and work. To stay in their positions, school staff need to feel supported and valued. They need time in their schedules to get their work done, which they do not currently have, and they need support from other staff to help meet the educational, behavioral, and social and emotional needs of students today, which are very different from when many of us went to school. They also need competitive, livable, fair salaries, and the school's budget takes concrete steps to balance fiscal responsibility with meeting the diverse needs of the staff and students, and should be fully funded. Also, the budget is vital to the community as a whole. Data shows over and over again how public schools contribute to the well-being, prosperity, and cohesion of the larger community by providing education, fostering social interaction, promoting economic development, and instilling values that are fundamental to a thriving society. So again, as a parent, I reiterate what has been said before me as well, that this budget is critical to ensure that the Portland Public School System continues to be a vibrant place where all of our students thrive. And I thank you all for your consideration and time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to provide public comment?